Hi everyone. So far in this series, we have covered numbers and type conversion. Today, we are looking at the simplest data type in Python, one that can only hold one of two values, true or false, which is called boolean. So let's get into it. So the question comes, what are booleans? What are booleans? So a boolean is a data type that holds exactly one of two values. These are true or false and are used everywhere in Python and are used everywhere in Python. Let's say where are they are used in Python? In if statements. In if statements, okay, to decide which code runs. Then in while loops. In while loops to decide when to stop. Then third in yeah, sorry about that. Third in third in comparisons. Comparisons to check whether something is true or not. Okay, let me give you an example. Let me explain you with the help of an example over here. Let's go back to the VS Code and create a Py file that says booleans underscore demo dot py. Okay, I would say let's try this in ipynb file. Yeah, right. Okay, so here we have is logged underscore in equals true. Okay, is logged underscore in is true, has underscore error suppose is false. Print, let's print this user is logged in. Let's try this one and then print its type. Okay. Hmm. Let's make it's simple. Okay. Now let's try for the another one. Print has error. Print has error and then print type has error. Okay. And okay, so we have user is logged in true, class bool, false, and class bool. So both confirm both confirm class bool Python's boolean type. Okay, so user is logged in true, class boolean, false. Yeah. So here both confirms class bool, that is Python's boolean type. Okay, but here's something interesting. Python's booleans are actually a subtype of integers. True is literally equal to 1. Here, true is literally equals to 1. Okay. And false equals to 0. Okay. Let's prove it over here. Mm, let's prove it with the help of an example over here. Okay. Suppose I have print true plus true. Okay. Then print true plus false, print false plus false, okay, print true is equal to 1, then print false equals 0. Let's check the output. So this This is 2. Why? Because here 1 plus 1 is equal to true. That is 2 is equal to 1. So here we have 2. 1 plus 1 is equal to true. Now here 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. That is true signifies 1 and false signifies false. So in this over here it is 0 plus 0 is equal to 0, and again true is equal to 1, which gives us true, and false is equal to 0, which gives us false. Okay, so the output here is 2 1 0, and both equality checks return true. Okay, return true. Now another important thing to talk about over here, okay, that is called a bool function. So just like int, just like right, just like int, float, string str converts values to their respective values. Okay, no, sorry, converts values to their respective types. Right, Python has a bool function that converts any value into its boolean equivalent, that is either true or false. Okay, now this is the function that reveals whether a value is truthfully or falsely, whether a value it's truthfully or falsely. Yeah, falsely. And this function is called a bool function, and this function is called a bool function. Okay, now let's use it to test some values and see what Python considers true and what it considers false. Let's come over here and type print bool 1, print bool 0, print bool in string hello, print bool empty string, print bool none. Now let's read this carefully. Let's read this carefully. What do we have over here? Yeah, just give me a sec. I think there's a problem. Right, right. True, false, true, false, false. Okay, some of these make immediate sense and some of them need explaining. Okay, let's go through each one properly. Let's go through each one properly. Okay, first let's talk about falsely over here. That is falsely. Now, a falsely value is any value that Python treats as false when you pass it to bool or use it inside an if statement. Python has a specific fixed set of falsy values. Okay, fixed set of falsy values. So like if I say print bool 0, well, tell me what is going to be the output over here. Or bool 0.0, then bool, this is complex number. Let's try this. Suppose I come over here and says print, not suppose, actually I'm coming over here, bool 0, print bool 0.0, print bool 0j. Okay, now what's the output over here? 0 in any numeric type, integer 0, float 0, complex 0. This is always falsy. This is always falsy. Okay, this makes intuitive sense. 0 means nothing, empty. Okay, now let's talk about some empty sequences over here. Empty sequences. Okay, print bool print bool empty list, print bool empty tuple, print bool empty dictionary. Okay, all are false over here. All are false over here. All four are false. Okay, an empty string, an empty list, an empty tuple, an empty dictionary. The pattern here is clear. Empty containers are falsy. If there's nothing inside, Python treats it as false. Okay, now let's talk about this none over here. Print bool none. That is also false. So none is Python's way of representing the complete sense. Let me give you some over here. Right, right. So, right, right. So this none over here, I think my pen tablet is creating some kind of a problem over here. Right, right. So over here. So none is a Python's way of representing the complete absence of value. Not zero, not an empty string, but literally nothing. And none is always falsy. Okay. And you will encounter none constantly in real Python programs. It's what a function returns when it doesn't explicitly return anything else. Okay. Now let's talk about truthly values. Okay. That is truthly values. That is Python treats as true. Uh, Python treats as true in Boolean context. The rule is simple. Any value that isn't in the falsy set is truthly. But let's confirm with the real code. So it's not just a rule you heard that once, that I'm telling you. So print bool 1, print bool 42, 42, print bool -1, print bool 3.14. Okay, they're all true. They're all true, right? So any non-zero number is positive, negative, decimal is truthly. It doesn't matter how large or small as long as it isn't and as long as it isn't zero. As long as it isn't zero. Now let's say print bool hello, print bool false, print bool empty string. So any non-empty string is truthly, including the string false. Any non-empty string, this is a non-empty string because there is a string inside, is truthly, including this false. But there is a subtle but important point over here. Even a single space is a non-empty string. So it's truthfully 2. So it's truthfully 2. Okay. Right. Now come over here and write print bool 1, 2, 3. 3. Okay. Print bool and this is the dictionary name Alex. So a list with items is truthfully. A list with items is truthfully. A dictionary with content is also truthfully. Is also truthfully. Okay. Only empty versions are falsy. Okay. Let's see why this matters in practice with a real if statement. Now, suppose name equals to input, enter your name, right? If name colon print hello name, else print you didn't enter a name. Okay. Now, when I type a name over here, suppose I type a name Jack, then truthfully runs over here. I get a true statement. Only if the block runs. Why? Because the name over here is non-empty string. Okay. Hello Jack. But when I press enter without typing anything, then it returns false because now name is an empty string. So the else block runs instead over here. You didn't enter a name. Okay. You didn't enter a name. Okay. So let's lock in what we have learned today. Let's lock in what we have learned today. So first let's talk about Boolean. Okay. So a Boolean holds exactly one of two values, true or false. Okay. Under the hood, true equals 1 and false equals 0. The bool function converts any value into its Boolean equivalent, which reveals whether that value is truthfully or falsely. Okay. The false values, the false values in Python are 0, 0 in any numeric form, whether integer 0, decimal 0, zero point 0, or complex 0j. Okay. And then we have empty containers called that are list, tuple, tuple, dictionary. Okay. And none. Okay. And and everything else is truthy, including non-zero numbers, non-empty strings, and containers with content that we saw in the Jupyter notebook, the example that I did. And remember, the string false is truthfully, string false is truthy because it's a non-empty string, not the Boolean false. Now your action step for this video. What I want from you is open a new file and write a program that asks the user for a number using the input function, cast it to int, and uses an if statement to check whether it is truthfully or falsy. Then prints a message, telling the user which one it is and why. Try it with 0, positive number, and a negative number. Okay, so this you have to try. In the next video, we'll be moving to the none type. So see you there. In the meantime, Happy learning. See you there. Bye.